It seems like everyone's talking about needing AI skills in order to get a job or keep a job in 2026. However, I'm not hearing anyone actually defining what we mean by AI skills. So in this video, I am going to define what AI skills looks like in 2026 and also look a little forward to see what AI skills could mean 2027 and beyond. Hi, I'm Paul Trent, aka That Networking Guy, coach, speaker, trainer, and content creator. The first skill I wanted to talk about today is probably the first skill you all thought of when I said AI skills, and that is prompt engineering. Every good prompt should have two components. It should have context and boundaries. Context as far as all of the data or instruction that the prompt needs in order to be successful, and boundaries, which have to do with the output, what you're expecting and what you're not expecting in the output. The next skill is what I call critical evaluation. This means when you are creating a prompt, you should have some sense of what the output should be. And if you do not see that output, you need to send it back as you would in a restaurant. You need to go back to your prompt and look at what you could have written differently. And then you need to keep tweaking that prompt until you get the output you were expecting. Third is security awareness. Now, this is probably going to evolve and change over time, but right now this simply means being able to know what you should and shouldn't be including in prompts as far as data goes. You do not want to put any sort of data that's going to compromise your customers or your company. Fourth is knowing the right tools for the job. Grok, Claude, GPT, and Gemini all have strengths and weaknesses and should be evaluated when looking at which one of those tools you should use for the task at hand. And the final skill I wanted to talk about is knowing when not to use AI. There are still certain tasks that our brains are still best at. Anything having to do with creativity, anything having to do with agility, anything having to do with cognitive load, our brains are still far superior. So if you instinctively start writing a prompt for something and then realize it's probably going to take you 20 minutes to get the prompt right, and it would probably only take you 10 minutes with a little noodling to figure it out yourself, you should know to defer to your brain in those instances. So those are the skills that I think are pertinent now. Let's take a look a year or two from now and see what trends might dictate the skills going forward. First, I think, is multimodal fluency. Right now, most of us are creating prompts that are meant to give text output. Going forward, it's going to be easier and easier to make video content, audio content, still picture content, and knowing how to weave all of those contents together with a strategy and being able to use AI to create the best work in those areas possible is going to be huge. And finally, as far as things coming, definitely regulation. Right now, most companies do not have a robust regulatory system around how they use AI, and we certainly have not seen a lot of that on the local, state, and federal levels, but you know that this stuff is coming. So in the near future, being able to respect and work within accordance to all of those regulations is going to be incredibly important. I wanted to talk a little bit as far as why I am posting this. I volunteer at a large nonprofit near me in the workforce development department. And we are looking at what our curriculum is going to be for 2026. And of course, we need to teach AI has come up in many meetings, but right now we are struggling with what that looks like. So I needed to go ahead and sit down and figure out what that looked like anyway. And so I thought posting this would be a great way, one, to share what I've come up with so far, and two, to ask you if there's anything that you've thought of to get a really good, intelligent conversation going, because I think this is going to be an incredibly relevant question going forward. Well, as always, I really appreciate your attention to this video. If this was in any way helpful or thought-provoking, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps my channel out a lot. Thank you so much, and we will talk again soon.